tam stam sajivam sadvaitam savadhutam pradishana sahitam Krishna chaitanya devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I'd especially like to welcome my dear cousin, Judith Waldman, who lives here in Seattle, and Jagmohan, who lives here in Seattle, a new friend. And I think, okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I think it's advertised that the topic for the evening is Kirtan standards. Kirtan, those who are practicing know, is the process of chanting together in names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And I've written a book, copies of which are soon to appear before us, on Srila Prabhupada's standards for Kirtan. For chanting the names of Krishna, there are no hard and fast rules. One can chant anywhere, any time, no restrictions. But still there are ways that we're advised to chant and ways that we're not advised not to chant. And Srila Prabhupada taught us about these things. So for my generation, before we all kick off, I figure it's our duty to try to preserve some of these things for those to come. It's a natural process that when you start something, over some time, it gets changed. And new things get thrown into the mix. And after a while, everyone figures it's part of the original recipe. There's a story told by Jayadvaita Maharaj about a wedding celebration, and the bride was there, the groom was there, the whole family was there, the priests were there, the guests were there, all the arrangements were there. Everything's set to go, but there was a cat that was dashing about and creating a big ruckus. So some quick-thinking fellow just caught the cat and threw it in a basket and put the lid on the basket, and the wedding went on. And then some years later, that couple's daughter was getting married. And again, the bride was there, the groom was there, the guests were there, the whole family was there, everything's ready to go. But then the mother said, well, wait a second, where's the cat in the basket? There's supposed to be, it's a family tradition, there has to be a cat in the basket. So they found a cat, found a basket, and everything went on well. So things like that happen in our Krishna consciousness movement also, and in our ways of performing kirtan. So in the book I point out some of those. I point to a lot of the instructions Prabhupada has given us about kirtan, some of which have been forgotten. And basically the instructions given come in two categories. One is broad, the meaning of the chanting, the feeling that should be there, the purpose of the chanting. And then another gets down to real particularities. How do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce this? In what order is this? In what order is that? It gets down to those sort of details. But the first thing is to get the purpose right. And the mood right. Srila Prabhupada explained in his talk on his first record album, a thing of the past, record albums, that the chanting is a sincere call to Krishna to pick us up out of the material illusions in which we find ourselves, the material predicaments in which we find ourselves, and to lift us into our natural position of Krishna consciousness and transcendental devotional service. So by chanting Hare Krishna, we associate with Krishna and we revive our spiritual nature. Because Krishna is spiritual, there's no difference between Krishna the person and Krishna the sound. So by chanting Hare Krishna, we associate with Krishna and we're restored to our original spiritual nature. So this is the intention in chanting Hare Krishna. And when we chant, then we benefit, and those who hear also benefit. But Srila Prabhupada explained that the kirtan is not a show. That it's not meant just to attract a crowd or to please a crowd. Prabhupada said his purpose is to please Krishna, and the teachers in our in the line from Krishna. And when they're pleased, our business is finished. He said the crowd may be pleased or not pleased. That's not our concern. But when Krishna is pleased, then the purpose of the chanting is fulfilled. And in the book, as you'll see, I document all of these things with statements from Prabhupada's writings, from his talks, or from recollections by his disciples. So I try not to just go by what I let's see. A little heavy on the bass now, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, the bass went up and now it's booming. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That seems better. Jai Hari Vilasji. Yeah, one copy for me. So I try not to just go by what I think or how I feel, but to present as authentically as I can what Prabhupada taught. And then we can do it as we like. We can we can follow, we can not follow, we can adapt, we can do it, but at least we should know what he taught. Thank you very much. There is such a book, and there you go. So that's the first point. Another point is that for chanting Hare Krishna, the real qualification is purity of consciousness. It's not that we're great singers or that we're great musicians or anything of that sort, but it's purity of consciousness. And when we chant purely, then Prabhupada says, a bona fide spiritual master chants the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the transcendental sound vibration enters the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple follows in the footsteps of the spiritual master and chants the holy name with equal respect, this chanting constitutes worship of the transcendental name. When the transcendental name is worshipped by the devotee, the name himself spreads his glories within the heart of a devotee. So that's how it works. It's not our qualification, it's the transcendental sound itself and our purity of consciousness in chanting the transcendental vibration. Purity, among other things, consists of keeping junk out. There's a guide on writing, sort of a classic guide on writing. The author says, writing improves in direct ratio to the number of things we can keep out of it that shouldn't be there. So the same thing can be said about Krishna consciousness generally and about Kirtan in particular. The Kirtan improves in proportion to what we can keep out of it that shouldn't be there. And a lot of stuff can get in there that shouldn't be there. Now, lots of stuff here. Maybe we'll say a few words about what Kirtan isn't. It's not for business. It's not for earning a livelihood and supporting our families. It's not for fame or prestige. It's for pleasing Krishna, as we mentioned. Chanting should be performed in what we call the parampara system, or the system of succession from master to disciple and so on. The chanting is, yes, please give one to our heavy last. The chanting gets its potency by being received from the spiritual line. It's said, Sampradaya vihina ye mantraste nishpala mata. If the mantra that we're chanting hasn't been received through the parampara, through the line of succession, it won't have any effect. It won't have any effect. This is, yeah. So there, that means that we should chant the mantras received from the authentic spiritual teachers and avoid chanting that's just come from the marketplace. And there's a lot of chanting that's come from the marketplace, especially Loy Bajar. Lots and lots of things that, well, now the internet has made a global marketplace. So we can hear all sorts of mantras that are not really mantras. They're not coming from the Vedic literature. They're not coming from the authentic lines. They're cinema songs. Indian cinema is more pious than Hollywood cinema, so they have lots of songs, and very often there's some devotional song that's found in the movie. And they're catchy and attractive, and pretty soon everyone's singing them. But if you trace them back, where do they come from? There's another story. You know the story about Sargal Singh? You know that story. Okay, there's a story that Prabhupada told that there was a man who showed up in the village, and he'd shaved his head, as people do when a relative dies. And he was crying. And the grocer asked him, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Sargal Singh is dead. He was my best friend. He was so noble. He just lived to serve others. And now he's dead." And as the man went on speaking, the grocer became so affected that he shaved his head and also began lamenting for the death of Sargal Singh. And from one person it spread to the next. Pretty soon the whole village, and everyone had shaved their head, and they're crying and lamenting the death of this noble Sargal Singh. And it went on, according to one version, from the village to the state, finally it came to, maybe it was the governor or the king. Ministers had all shaved their heads. And in that version, or as Prabhupada said, one intelligent person asked, "Who's Sargal Singh?" And of course nobody knew. So it went back down and down and down and down until it reached the original mourner. And it turned out that that man was a washerman, and Sargal Singh was his ass. So there's a lot of this where we're all sure of something, but when push comes to shove, we don't really know where it came from. Maybe we know where we heard it, but we don't know where it started. So there's a lot of that going on. And so, let's see, looking to a chart. There's a lot of mantras that we hear. Maybe you've heard Govinda Bolo Hari Gopala Bolo. Maybe you've even heard that in Hare Krishna temple. And it's a cinema song. How about that? Yeah. It's not something Prabhupada taught, not something from the Acharyas. It's a popular song. And then there's Radharani Ki Jai Maharani, the popular traditional tune that someone heard in Vrindavan. But again, nobody really knows where it came from. Jaya Radha Ramana Haribo, Jai Jai Radha Ramana Haribo. Filmy song. There's no known authentic tradition. So a lot of this stuff just gets in there, and it can happen anywhere, in any line of teaching, and it happens in ours also. We're not transcendentally immunized. So we point a few of these things out. Just that we hear something in Vrindavan, a place most holy to Krishna, doesn't mean that it's authentic. There's stuff that Prabhupada absolutely, I guess despised is the right word, that they chant in Vrindavan, totally concocted and contrary to the authentic spiritual taste of Krishna consciousness. And it's chanted in Vrindavan. There's stuff that comes out of Mayapur, and even ISKCON Mayapur, ISKCON Vrindavan. Just that we hear it there doesn't mean that it came from an authentic source. So then concocting mantras is another sort of thing that can happen, where we just make them up. I've heard people sort of make up mantras on the spot from the names of deities and put them together in combinations and permutations. That doesn't really, that's not the way we're taught to do things. Well, maybe I'll see if there's a question or two to begin. Otherwise, I have more to say, of course. Mm-hmm.
The last one that you mentioned, so we take common tunes and then substitute with our deity's names. Is that not one of
A common tune and substitute with the deities' names. Well, okay, we come to a topic to which quite a number of pages have been dedicated in this book, and that's the practice of chanting the deities' names at the end of every kirtan. In Prabhupada's time, generally this wasn't done at all. Prabhupada himself didn't do it. Oh, you won't find any recordings of Prabhupada chanting the names of any of the deities in the temples that he visited, except Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's not that if there was Sita Ram installed, then he would chant Jai Jai Sita Ram, or any Ram mantras for that matter, or the names of the deities. So how did this get started? It got started when my godbrother Kirtana Prabhu, who was one of the first devotees to spend time in India from ISKCON, published a book. He'd gone to Mayapur before we even had a temple there, and had spent considerable time with Gaudiya Math and learned Bengali, and very Prabhupada was pleased. And he wrote a book giving songs of the Vaishnavacharyas, for which Prabhupada wrote a foreword. And it was accompanied by a cassette tape in those days, in which he sang these songs. And it was very much appreciated, deservingly so. And one of the songs is called Radha Krishna Giti. And that's a song by, who is the song by? I've forgotten who it's by. Let's see if the index tells me. Krishna, Krishna. Anyway, it's not so important. But it's an authentic song, Gaudiya Vaishnav song. And it consists of names of, or glorification of different deities in Vrindavan, along with the names of the acharyas who established their worship. So, Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Rupa Goswami Prandana He. So the Radha Damodar deities and established by Rupa Goswami. So in that way, and the song proceeds. And my godbrother Shrutadev, who was the temple president of our Soho Street branch in London, wrote to Srila Prabhupada and asked him, can we sing Radha Landanishwara Prabhupada Prandanehe? And Prabhupada wrote back and said, yes, you have my permission. So that's what they did. And from there it caught on. And to the point where it's become practically universal in ISKCON, and to the point where if you don't do it, it's like you hate the deities. And after I'd given a seminar on that, let's see. One of my godbrothers, during a Bhagavatam class, said, because we're personalists and we're not impersonalists, we chant the names of the deities. Are you a personalist? You don't chant the name of the deity? We always chant the names of the deities. We're personal. What, do you stand in front of the deities and ignore them? Does that make any sense? I'm chanting for the deities, but I don't chant their names. That's not necessary. So, in this way, it's, practically whoever might say such a thing to the effect that you don't have to chant the names of the deities is, well, if not a demon, then close to it. But what the argument ignores, of course, was that Prabhupada never did it. And he was certainly a personalist. So it might be suggested that if it was personal enough for him, then it's personal enough for us just to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Can we chant the names of the deities? Yes, we can, Prabhupada. You have my permission. Must we? No. And what can we do instead? We can do what Prabhupada did. just chant Hare Krishna. Oh. We might also observe that the more that we're chanting the various deity mantras, the less we're chanting Hare Krishna. Your typical arti is 20 minutes. Subtract time for obeisances and so on. Chanting Hare Krishna is 15 minutes, then subtract time for the deity mantras. So proportionally, the time's got to come from somewhere. So Hare Krishna. My guess is that if we skipped the chanting of the deity mantras, we'd probably have maybe 10% more chanting of Hare Krishna in the Hare Krishna movement. We hear it, deity mantras become de rigueur, they become mandatory at the end of the arti, sometimes in the beginning of the arti, sometimes in the middle of the arti, sometimes at the end of the Nrsimha prayers, at the end of Tulsi Puja, almost any, the Jai Radha Madhava. And dare I say, it's not required. Is that okay? Also, one thing leading to another, as things tend to do, we start to make up mantras. So, for example, in one of the Middle Eastern countries, their deities are called Radha Krishna. And so the mantra there, Jai Radha, Radha Krishna, Radha, Radha Krishna. In Los Angeles, I saw a very respectable sannyasi leading the kirtan. And if we don't know the names of the local deity, then we lean over and ask someone, right? So he leaned over and then began chanting Jai Radha Rukmini Dwarkadish, which is rasabhas, mixing of tastes, because Radharani is with Krishna in his Vrindavan pastimes when he's a cowherd boy and he's informal and doesn't follow any royal protocols. And Rukmini is with Krishna when he's in his pastimes as a king, and everything is awe and veneration and a royal mood. So Radha Rukmini Dwarkadish does not mix. In South Africa, I heard Radha Jagannath. And since it's not only Radha and Krishna, but it becomes rule that every deity on the altar has to be mentioned. And so, again in the Middle East, Radha Ladu Gopal. And, I won't go into them all, but we make them up. In Mayapur, once they installed the Panchatattva deities, then they had to have a deity mantra, right? Because we always chant the names of the deities because we're personalists. And so they introduced a new Panchatattva mantra. What's the old Panchatattva mantra? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda. Prabhupada said these 5 names. But then they had Panchatattva deities, and you've got to follow the template, right? Jaya da 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 da, right? Jaya something, Jaya, something. And so they introduced the new Panchatattva mantra. What's the new Panchatattva mantra? Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, which has none of the names of any of the members of the Pancha Tattva, which Prabhupada didn't chant at all, and which is totally unnecessary, except to fit the template. And it's a template that's not even necessary itself. So these are the issues that arise one after another. Yes? If something's coming from one spiritual master, is it authentic?
I'm trying to understand what's the criteria for authentic. Is it that it's such a mention in the scriptures, or if it's coming from one spiritual master, then it's authentic? Because
Of course, our Prabhupada said our main authorized mantra is Hare Krishna. And he said in our temples, strictly Hare Krishna mantra should be given more importance. That was his focus. Hare Krishna movement, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Even in Vrindavan, Prabhupada would take his morning walk, and some local respectable gentleman would be walking the other way and greet Srila Prabhupada, Jai Radhe, and Prabhupada would respond, Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada gave so much importance to the chanting of Hare Krishna, which, as we know, is a mantra from the Upanishads. So this Hare Krishna mantra is given most importance, or anything chanted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudan. These two lines, Prabhupada said. And that's another further story, but I don't want to go far from your question. So when it's coming from Shastra, that's authorized. Although even in the Kirtan, there were instances where devotees would chant something from the Vedic literature, and Prabhupada would stop them. No, chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, yes, if certainly anything accepted by the acharyas. If Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has accepted it, if Narottam Das Thakur has accepted it, if Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has accepted it, if Prabhupada's accepted it, we accept it. We don't second guess the acharyas in our line. They accept it, we accept it. Is that all right?
yes, Maharaj. Is it for aratis, or is it like if one is doing kirtan on his own or with some devotees outside of arati? I'm wondering if they're chanting Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Prabhupada accepted and appreciated. So it's perfectly good. The more the better.
But you said that's the source of that is from cinema, it's not.
No. Govinda Jaya Jaya is different. That comes from Prabhupada gave us that.
I see.
But Radha Ramana Hari Bol, he didn't. So that's why the book is there. What came from Prabhupada and what didn't. So, and then the standards are essentially the same, not because we're essentially supposed to be representing the line wherever we might be, whether it's in the temple or it's at a yoga event or it's in someone's home or online. We're representing our teachers, and we're trying to satisfy our teachers and carry out, transmit what they gave us. So it's not that in the temple I should chant what's authentic, but anywhere else I can do anything else. What's the point?
Can I? So there are like some even initiated spiritual masters who have composed some verses in English and so on, so that it's more easily understandable by generally people who are coming in who are not familiar with the Bengali or the Sanskrit. Will you consider that inauthentic or not helpful?
They've composed verses.
Right, yeah. Like even Bhagavad Gita and so on, the English versions of those as poetic ways.
Well, generally, even in our temples, we don't chant Bhagavad Gita verses in the Kirtan. But if I'm discussing Bhagavad Gita and I want to use their rendering of a verse, that's not objectionable. That's just, if the meaning is the same, there's not a problem. Good. Yes.
Hare.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, we have heard that all the name of Krishna have potency, like we can chant any names and they have equal potency. So, but in Kirtan we should not do that.
Yeah. It's true, all of Krishna's names are transcendental sounds, but still there are, what shall we say, ways in which it's appreciated and ways in which it's not appreciated. So, for example, Radha Rukmini Dwarkadish, although Radharani is Krishna's eternal potency, and Rukmini is Krishna's eternal potency, and Dwarkadish is the name of Krishna, it's not at all appreciated. Radha Jagannath is not at all appreciated by those who know the science of Krishna. So, therefore, we're advised to follow the acharyas and what they chanted and not to make up something new. Let's see if I have something about that. I do have something about that here, but let me see if I can find it. See. If you go through the book, you'll find a quote from Prabhupada to that effect, that it's not that because Krishna is the name of the absolute personality of Godhead, and Rama is a name and Govinda is a name, that we can go on Rama, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Rama, Krishna, Govinda, Rama, Krishna, Govinda. No. Sampradaya vihina ye mantraste nishpalamata. Unless it's come through the line, not going to be effective. And when we have the authentic thing, why do we need to come up with something new? Prabhupada said, this is your American disease. I don't know if the Indians have caught it from the Americans or just what's happened, but Prabhupada said, this is your American disease. You always want to change things. We don't just to leave things as we received them. No, that would be too much. We have to change it. We have to improve it. We have to adapt it, make it more suitable, make it more accessible, make it more tasty, add a little zest to it. For one reason or another, we can't just live with what we've gotten. We have to change it. That's your American disease, Prabhupada said. And his continuing instruction was, don't add anything, don't subtract anything, don't change anything. Simple thing, he said, just follow. No one ever got in trouble for just following. But when we add, we subtract, we change, over time, the science is lost. So simple thing, just follow. Even Prabhupada objected when people would add something to the Hare Krishna mantra. The one kirtan was going on, and Prabhupada said to his assistant, he was hearing from his quarters, he said, they're adding something to the Hare Krishna mantra. Go down and tell him to come here. The servant didn't hear anything, but he went down to the temple, and there was a roaring kirtan going on, and the servant went down and heard the leader chanting, Bolo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada called for the devotee. I hope I'm not mixing two stories, because sometimes it was bhaja that was added and Prabhupada stopped that kirtan. Sometimes it was bolo, Prabhupada stopped that. But Prabhupada called him in and reprimanded him. Don't add anything to the Hare Krishna mantra. Do you ever hear me chanting this? So we hear, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Bolo Hare Krishna, Bhaja Hare Krishna. No, 16 words, good enough. Bolo, mat bolo.
Hare Krishna. So Maharaj, we have this Vaishnav song book. Is that the standard that we should follow, or is there some other guidance that you would like
It's
to
very good. That book is fine.
Okay.
They basically, Prabhupada said, the songs chanted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, these are authentic. And the songs composed by Prabhupada. Prabhupada composed those two very profound songs on the Jaladuta. And they were added to the songbook so that devotees could learn them and chant them. Very important songs. And the other guide that Prabhupada gave was that the very high songs, Radha Krishna, subject matters and so on, is not for us. Prabhupada said that is for the, forget what he said, like perfected devotees, Paramahansas. But for the rest of us, these things should be avoided. The Jayadvaita Goswami, he said the songs by Jayadvaita Goswami were appreciated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but they're very high subject matter. He said for Jayadvaita Goswami you can have this Dasavatar Stotra. That's all right.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is, when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, any melody we need to keep in mind, because some people chant very fast, some people chant very slow. Like for example, some people chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna so fast we can do like that, or any methodology we need to follow?
Well, this is another major topic in the book, tunes. And Prabhupada said, well, let's see. First thing he said is tune doesn't matter. Yeah. Any tune can be used when it is in relationship with Krishna. That makes it bona fide. So there's no particular rule about the tune. It can be in the tune of your own country. That doesn't matter. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that there are tunes that Prabhupada gave us. Another point is that this specific sound of kirtan, as I sing it, is also another introduction of art that can be intermingled with Western art, and such combination will certainly be appreciated. And then the kirtan tune is a specific representation of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and this tune is appreciated all over India as unique. They say that the kirtan tune is the specific gift of Bengal, and that is a fact. One of Prabhupada's favorite kirtan leaders was Vishnu Swami. One time, Prabhupada was elaborately playing his melodies on the harmonium in the temple room when Prabhupada came out of the room and said, "What's wrong with the melodies I've given you?" So any tune is all right, but there's a specific bias that we have towards the traditional melodies. Sometimes the melodies get so complex that only the virtuosos can chant them. Only those who've practiced and who are in on it can chant. Prabhupada didn't do that. Then it becomes more of a performance or something reserved for, the in-group. Or sometimes the tunes become so complex that people miss out words from them. They duplicate, like Hare Krishna. Anyway, they'll add a word to the mantra to fit the tune without realizing it. The tune gets so fancy. Another problem, it's not illegal, but sometimes we pick up a tune from Bollywood and then make it a kirtan tune. And then, okay, that's all right. But then when people chant it, they remember Krishna and they remember Lata Mangeshkar. So, or in America, sometimes they've had kirtan using traditional Mexican folk song, La Cucaracha, which is a song about a cockroach. So you may or may not want to bring in those mental associations. As far as pace, Prabhupada was very consistent in his kirtan. He started slow and meditative, and gradually he built up momentum, and kirtan would reach a crescendo, and Prabhupada would stop. That's how he did it. Not to say that's the only way you can do it, but that's what Prabhupada did. He didn't stop and start. He didn't go fast and slow and fast again. He didn't end by going slow. He didn't do any of those things. He started slow, gradually, and he also didn't start slow and then shift into second gear and go fast. There's a lot of that I hear in Kirtan. It's up to a certain point we go slow, and then we shift gears. It's only a 2-speed bicycle, and then we go fast. And if you're the Kirtan leader, the Mridanga player is going to force you to do it. He won't agree to gradually speed up, gradually. No, we do this till this point, then we do that. You've got to fit the mold. So again, not that you can't do anything different, but that's what Prabhupada did, and that's what spread the Hare Krishna chanting all over the world. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, the Samsara Dava, Nalali Dava, Loka, Prabhupada himself sang multiple tunes of that. And in our Mangalarati we have a particular tune, and once I didn't know, and then I have been using the other tune, and then I was asked not to sing that way. So I just wanted to hear what's the bona fide way.
Yeah, in the book, a conversation is recorded, or the testimony is recorded from Harikesh Prabhu, who was the original, I think, president of Vrindavan for a short while. He was Prabhupada's personal assistant. And Prabhupada called him in and told him, now I want to establish standards for this temple. Now we've started the temple, I want to establish standards. And one of the standards was for Kirtan. And he told him exactly how he wanted it done. He said the morning tune should be chanted throughout, not only Samsara Dava, but throughout the Mangalarati morning tune, which is a style rarely heard these days. Usually we sort of pay our dues by chanting the morning tune for half the Kirtan, and then we get creative and do something else. He said, I want the morning tune chanted throughout the Mangalarti. And he said, in the morning, Samsara Dava, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, nothing else. And in the evening, the Sundararti song, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, nothing else. And you can read the whole conversation or the whole report in the book. And there's also lots of surprises in the book.
So then my question is, would there be any other time we would sing any other Samsara Dava tune?
Yeah, typically in the Vyas Puja of the spiritual master, it's chanted at midday. There's another tune that's usually chanted. And of course, you can chant at any time, so there's no restriction.
Thank you.
Okay. And we're at 8:30. I suppose it remains to be said only that the book is available. It's only $150 per copy, or $15.95, or whatever you might like to give. And we have some copies here. And so it's really, I've written 2 books so far. One is this book, and another this is the blue book, and then there's the red book, Vanity Karma. The red book is meant for outsiders, for reaching out, although ISKCON devotees might like to read it also. And the blue book is meant for us. It's really our in-house business. So my hope would be that every ISKCON devotee will take the opportunity to read it, because this is what we do. We chant Hare Krishna. So it's worthy for us to know what Prabhupada taught us about it. All right. Should we have kirtan for a few minutes? Who wants to lead? Who's the courageous soul now? Who's willing to lead? Srila Jiva Goswami said we should begin everything and end everything with kirtan. So we can have a few minutes kirtan. I can't leave because my voice is shot. Okay, she's willing. I saw that she's willing. No need of harmony.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Shri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hai Nam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamansa Paribrajacharya Stodra Satashi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Jamunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Do we have a shopkeeper for these books, by the way? Is someone in charge of sound? Okay. Mukunda Sham. Sham Mukunda. Hare Krishna. Jai. All right. Allah, Allah, Allah. Hare Krishna.